What is going on, live streamers? My name is Nick, and today I'm going to be talking with you about how I increase my live stream views by 270%. We're going to be talking about the impact that this has had on my channel overall, and I'm going to be sharing with you some actual, we're going to be looking at my YouTube analytics over on my channel so that I can just give you some insights into the impact that you can have with live streams. And in addition to that, we're going to be talking about some other things. We're going to be talking about how we currently think about live streams. We're going to be talking about some ideas that you might be able to implement to, fully tap into, the real power of live streaming. And of course, at the end of this, we're also going to be doing a Q&A. So if you have any questions related to live streaming on YouTube, make sure that you write those down for the Q&A portion of this stream today. And if you are watching this on the replay, I encourage you to skip around. So make sure that you do listen to this part that I'm getting ready to go into about how I increase my live stream views, but also make sure that you skip to the Q&A side as well, because often when we do these, a lot of really great questions get asked during the live Q&A portion of the stream. So the very first thing that I want to talk about today is what I did specifically to increase my live stream views. And I want to brainstorm with you about how we currently think about live streams and how you can change that to really get a really big benefit from what it is that you're doing, since you are making content anyway for the internet. And then we're also going to go into my stats, like I mentioned just a second ago. So to get started, the thing that I personally did is I started approaching live streaming in a different way. So on my YouTube channel, what I do is every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern, I have this really long live stream that I do. It's like 3 hours long. And during that particular live stream, a lot of really great information gets shared. People love it. It's become a destination where people always show up on Saturdays if they want to, learn about YouTube and all of that. And because of that, that particular piece of content has been a staple on my YouTube channel for years. And it's also, in my opinion, it's largely responsible for helping me build my brand online, helping me demonstrate my expertise, which has led to other opportunities and so on. So that has been a really core piece of what it is that I was doing. However, I love doing that stream, but I usually bleed subscribers on that stream, meaning that people that are subscribed to my YouTube channel, they'll come and participate, but by the time the stream is complete, I'll actually have a subscriber loss in a lot of those streams. Now, cumulatively, I might gain, a few hundred or whatever over the course of time, but, most of them, I end up losing a substantial amount of subscribers during the stream, but fortunately, some of them end up getting gained back on replays and stuff like that. So during my process of doing that and publishing regular videos to my YouTube channel, I started thinking to myself, and I spent a lot of time, in thought over this. I started thinking to myself, what could I do to where I could add an additional value to the people that I'm targeting with my content, but it wouldn't take a ton of time, and I would be able to live stream it so that it wouldn't take a ton of time in terms of recording videos, editing them together, publishing them, and all of that. But I'm going to live stream it. So what could I possibly do to be able to add just really quick value to people during the live streams? Now, before I say what it is, I do want to remind you that I want to, or that we are going to be brainstorming on different ideas so that it's not just this one thing that you can do to increase your live views. But what I did was I started publishing news content. So basically every single Friday, what I do, as long as there's news worthy of talking about, because last week there wasn't, but every other week there has been. But as long as there's news worthy of talking about on YouTube that impacts content creators, then I go live with a very short live stream. These live streams are lasting between 5 minutes. I think the longest one that I've had that did not have a Q&A attached to it was right around 13 minutes or 14 minutes long. And people are getting tons of value out of these, but it's really short content, which brings me to the point that I want to start with, which is when it comes to live streaming, we often think about live streams as these bigger productions. We think about live streams as these very time-consuming pieces of content, and they often are. Typically the view in terms of what a live stream is, people think that they have to live stream for 30 minutes or they have to live stream for 45 minutes, or that it's not like a good live stream unless I'm live streaming for an hour, right? Or I'm sharing tons of content over the course of an hour. And that absolutely does have its place. Those long form content or those long form live streams are definitely where you can, demonstrate your expertise, or depending on the type of content that you make, like let's say you're a gamer, in some cases, you're going to need that time in order to play through whatever it is that you're playing. So because of that, those definitely have their place. But what I want you to start thinking about, if you also want to increase your the amount of activity that you're getting on your live streams, is I want you to start thinking about live streams as a piece of content that doesn't have any necessary length attached to it. So what that means is when you live stream, instead of thinking like, hey, I got to go live for 30 minutes in order for people to get any value out of this, start thinking that, yes, you're absolutely going to do that, but as another piece of content that you're going to add to your YouTube channel, or maybe even a supplementary piece, depending on, how much you want to experiment, start trying to think, and again, we're going to go into some ideas for this. Start thinking of what you can do to where you can just pop in, share a great piece of value for 5 to 10 minutes on your channel or on your live stream, regardless of where it is you're streaming to, and then step back out. Now, the reason that you want to think about this is because when it comes to the live streams, right, the long ones like I do, and the long ones like a lot of us do, and like I'm doing right here on this stream right now, for these long ones, they're great because, people can come in, they can hang out, they can get to know each other, they can get to know you, all of those things. But you can also create great value in a short live stream that somebody does not have to commit to an hour in order to get the value out of it. And that's what I want to show you, how impactful taking that step can be. And again, we're going to be going into my YouTube stats so that I can show you how impactful this change has been, so that hopefully it'll encourage you to, come up with some ideas yourself. So what I'm going to show you is we're going to go into my stats right now, and I'm going to show you the difference that it makes when you do start, adding these very small streams. And they're definitely not called premieres. Premieres are when you upload a piece of video content, not a live stream. Completely different. That's not what we're talking about today, U-Haul. So, so if you look at the channel, or if you look at these stats right now, what I've done is I've put two groups of content together. This one has 19 videos in it because that's how many news segments that I have in that time range. This one has 18 of my Nimmin Live because that's how many I have, during that time period. But I have the date range on both of these isolated down to 90 days, right? So you can see the impact this has over, a little bit of time. And one of the things that that I want to show you here in terms of how this is all structured is right here. I have the impressions that you see here. If you're, if you're new to YouTube and you're not familiar with, the language here, what an impression is how many times YouTube has shown your content to somebody on the platform somewhere. So each one of these counts as one place on YouTube that YouTube has shown your entire thumbnail for more than 1 second. That's what an impression is. And then I'm showing you the view counts. I'm showing you how many subscribers are gained, how many likes I've gotten from them, how many shares, and how many in-screen clicks. And I'm going to add relevance to each one of these metrics here in just a moment once we start digging into this. So when it comes to getting more views on your live streams, the very first thing that I want to bring to your attention again, and I'm just going to circle these just so I'm clear. This one here is a 3-hour live stream, right? This one over here, which is the one that you're going to see the information for down here as we scroll down into it. This one right here is a 3-hour live stream. This one here is like a 5 to 10 minute live stream. Every now and then it'll go over 10 minutes, okay? So what we are going to do is I'm going to show you just the massive impact that these shorter streams have had in comparison to the longer live streams. So as we scroll down here, and I'm just going to bring this one up so you can see the two groups together. So the way I'm looking at this as a multi-metric table, and any of you can do this inside of your YouTube settings. You can compare any content that you want against any other content that you want. All you do is you group them together using a feature called groups. In order to find this, you go into your advanced YouTube analytics, click on your YouTube channel name there, and then once you're in there, you go 3 tabs over, and there's going to be a little box where you can create a group, and then you can start looking at this type of information on your channel as well. And this information is YouTube specific, by the way. But basically, right out of the gate, you can see that my YouTube, oops, I just kind of scrolled that one down here. Hold on. There we go. So I can see that my YouTube news segment, let me open this up here. There we go. So I can see in terms of impressions, my YouTube news gets a lot more impressions, which means that YouTube is showing that content to a lot more people. And the reason for that is how YouTube works is when you publish content, it doesn't matter what it is, if it's a YouTube short, if it's a community post, if it's a live stream, if it's a video, whatever it is, if people are engaging with it at a higher rate, YouTube is going to show it to more people. That's just how it works. So this one's getting a lot more impressions on it. The amount of views you can see here, and this is over the last 90 days, the amount of views that I have here in this particular thing, and keep in mind, I took like a month break almost from live streaming for some of this particular data here. But basically you can see here that there's like a 330 something thousand view difference between the shorter live streams and the longer live streams. In addition to that, the subscribers gained from the shorter content, obviously, because it's going to be getting more views, but they literally convert higher is my news segment. The amount of likes, of course, I'm generating is higher. This one's really important. The amount of shares that I'm generating is much higher. Now, the reason that this is important when it comes to YouTube is because every time somebody shares a video, then that's more people that have the opportunity to come in and experience your content. Now, the technical side of that is as it relates to YouTube, if you have a lot of people sharing your videos and a lot of people are coming into your YouTube channel and starting their session on YouTube on your video, and you can keep them watching, going deeper into your content and all of that, it is a great signal to YouTube because not only are you able to tap into their viewers on the platform, but you're also bringing people onto the platform as well. So they love that. But in addition to that, right here on the in-screen elements, you can see that I was able to send 2,422 views in this date range. It's actually more if I go longer, but I was able to send 2,422 views from my in-screens into more of my YouTube videos. So that means more ad views. That means more chances of earning people as subscribers from other content. That means more views on other content, more watch time on other content, more general engagement on other content as well from the shorter news segment. Now, the whole thing that I want to really focus you on here is one, when it comes to the longer live streams, right? These are great for like community building and for, you know, just nurturing your community, right? Serving them in some particular way. But these are great for growing, the shorter ones are great for growing the YouTube channel. And one of the big differences, the big elephants in the room, so to speak, that we have to talk about here is when it comes to the longer live streams. When you, and I'm going to show you this in data right here in a second, but when it comes to the longer live streams, there's a much bigger commitment that's required for somebody when they see a 3-hour timestamp, or like when somebody clicks into this live stream here on the replay, this is probably going to be for like, you know, an hour long or so. So when somebody sees this particular live stream that you're watching right now show up on their homepage and they see that timestamp of like an hour, or they click into it and they're like, wow, this is an hour long. Well, not everybody has an hour to spend. But everybody, most people have, I can't say everybody, but most people have like 5 to 10 minutes to where they can consume some content if it's something that they think is going to add value to them or just something that adds value to them, right? So because of that, another thing that has happened here, and you can see this if I scroll down the page, let me close this. So if you look here, as the videos start falling off, because these are in here from the oldest to the newest, so as you can see, as the time starts falling off in terms of how long it's been since this content has been published, you can see that the replay, or I'm sorry, that the shorter videos are still getting substantial amounts of views over the last, 90-day period. But even the ones that are like way past the 90 days, where typically you would think, hey, it's news related, so it's going to fall off quickly. Over the last 90 days, I'm still bringing in, some views on these. Whereas, and these are all chances to, earn ad revenue or to promote something as an affiliate or bring attention to anything else that I do. But if you look at the fall off on the longer clips, which is these right here, this is the second group. As we go down to the bottom of this, you can see some of these are getting, like 69 views, 100 views, 214 views. Like they're just not getting a lot, no real subscribers gained from them. Nobody's really sharing them anymore. Like, they just completely fall off. Now, another thing here is if you do look at the difference in the in-screen clicks, right? So this is sending people into more content where I'm multiplying views, whereas these long form videos aren't sending anybody anywhere, right? When it comes to the shares, again, a lot of people are sharing these. Some people share these, definitely. But when it comes to, like the real impact, you can see the difference that these short form videos are having. So the reason that I wanted to go through all that with you is because I just wanted to put a big spotlight on the impact of shorter live streams and how they can add a lot of value to what it is that you're doing. So when it comes to you and what it is that you can do in terms of your live streams and things that you can do to bring attention to what it is that you're doing, just some things to think about here, because, like seeing that is one thing, because it's like, wow, people definitely are responding to these in a major way compared to the other ones. So and it's consistent too. This isn't something that is just kind of like, there's just like one live stream that's doing well. Like this is a consistent thing that's been happening over time. That's why I wanted to make this live stream about it and, kind of spread awareness about this. But basically, when it comes to doing this, just some ideas for you. And again, we're going to be doing Q&A here in just a little bit. So if you do have questions about any of the stuff that I showed you there, or if you have questions about live streaming to YouTube, we're going to be doing that here in just a few minutes. But basically, in terms of ideas that you can do when it comes to making shorter form content, and again, this isn't something where you have to even make it a big production. You can just go live, drop a little bit of value to the people that are interacting with your content, and then just end it, as fast as you possibly can for the sake of getting that touch point with your viewers, adding value to your viewers, and then also having that additional piece of content that's short form that's much more kind to people's time on the replay, right? So the very first, of course, is what I'm doing, which is news. You can do this news on your industry. If you're making sports content, you can do it on anything that's happening with sports, like the weekly update of what's happening with all the different things related to the sports you cover. If you're doing gaming content, you can do gaming news or news about any new tech that comes out about gaming, things like that. If you have a travel channel, then of course you can keep people up to date with all the different, things that are happening in travel that relate to your specific content. Like I know Tiffany in her case, the girl in her passport, so she does a lot of content in Greece. So because of that, she could talk about, entry and exit requirements if anything changes, in Greece. She could talk about, just her thoughts on, anything that, any of the tourist attractions, things like that, anything that's closed when it comes to tourist attractions, those types of things. But news in general is one thing that you can do here. Another thing that you can do here is you can also think of just any other way to add value to people. So one of those things could be like during this stream here, like I said before, at the end of this stream or here in just a few minutes, we're going to be going into Q&A or questions and answers. So that's going to be an entire session. We're probably going to spend 20 or 30 minutes doing that. Whereas one thing that you can do if you are uploading videos to Uscreen, if you're uploading videos to YouTube, you have a comment section and you have people in your comments that are interacting with you. And depending on the type of content that you make, you might have people in your comment section asking questions. So one of the things that you could do in order to get out this extra piece of content with this extra value add that you can create a new title for and a new thumbnail for, and you can isolate it topically to make it extremely appealing to people, is you can take one of those comments and every single week you just pop in, or maybe even several times per week, you just pop into your community with a 5 to 10 minute live stream, just answering that one question from that one comment that you got. And you can even hook up that viewer for answering the comment by, StreamYard lets you put graphics on the screen. Like I showed you here when I was first starting the screen, my proof there of my, 270% increase. So when you are doing that sort of thing, you could even put the comment on the screen using StreamYard and say, hey, this person asked this comment. So, because of that, let's go ahead and answer that comment. And when you're doing that, you would just go in and just give the content. You would just give the answer. You wouldn't be interacting with the chat, anything like that. You would come in, you would give the answer, and then you would close it out when you were done. Now, the long play of that particular approach, we're going to get into more ideas here in a second, but the long play of that particular approach and doing these short form live streams is that they're much more easy to consume or more accessible when it comes to the replay. So when it comes to your content strategy, if you're already doing these long live streams that are an hour long, 2 hours long, 3 hours long, things like that, then what you can do is you can add these shorter streams to your content strategy as a method of discovery, meaning that you could target YouTube search terms with them. You could just make short form content and really use those to work on the skill set of trying to grab attention from home pages, which brings me to another thing. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to show you this really quick here. Let me actually stop this screen and bring in another screen because I forgot to show you this when I was showing you this before. Let me go to a Chrome tab and this particular one, I think it's here. Yeah. So another thing with these also, just really quick, is this is where my traffic is coming from for these live streams on YouTube. And you can see also with the YouTube news, which is the blue, compared to the longer live streams, which is the purple, I'm just crushing it when it comes to grabbing attention from home pages compared to what it is that I'm doing with the long form content. Keep in mind, this counts for live views and this counts for replay views. So because of that, it's really important. And browse features, just in case you're not familiar with it, that's like home pages of YouTube. That's like subscription feeds, stuff like that. But this is where, you know, like huge response, as you can see that I'm getting here compared to what it is that I do here. Now, in the suggested videos, I actually recently started working on this, which this graph has actually improved just a little bit compared to what it was. But one of the things that you see here, which I'm starting to bring this up now, is that my suggested video views, they're on par, pretty close to what I'm getting from my other live streams now. But before, how my suggested traffic was doing was for my live streams, I was doing okay, but these short forms actually weren't doing well. And the reason for that, I discovered, was my thumbnails, they just weren't clear, right? They just weren't clear on exactly what it was that was going on there in terms of grabbing somebody's attention. But since I've started making different thumbnails, now I'm slowly starting to increase my suggested traffic as well. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that to your attention also in terms of the accessibility side of when you go live and making it easy for people to come in and get introduced to the content that you make by having those shorter form live streams. Now, another thing that you can do also is whatever type of content that you make, you can experiment. Now, this is going to come down to your skill set in terms of how good you are at presenting and things like that when you are coming into the content. But one of the things that you can also do is whatever type of content that you normally make, like let's say you normally make 5 or 10 minute videos, then what you could do is you could just do a live version of those as long as the content type that you make supports it. So this is best for like marketers and people sharing information where they can usually do it verbally. So not necessarily marketers only, but marketers are a perfect fit for like that type of thing. But any type of content where you just sit there and you can talk and you don't have to actually be building something or something like that that takes a lot of time. You can use that as a way to, just hop in and make a quick piece of content live as well. But another thing that you can do also in terms of just short ideas, right? Because what we're trying to do right now is just share a little bit of ideas that you can use to make some shorter form live streams, just so you can add that as one, pillar of content for your content strategy, is to showcase like a critical tool for what you do if your content type supports it. So that could be a software tool, that could be a hardware tool, that could just be, this particular remote that you got and you have to, let everybody know. I'm not sure how exciting this can be, but that piece of content would be about whatever tool it is that you happen to use, or one of the tools that you happen to use, or that could be critical for what it is that you do, that your community also would be appreciative of getting that insight about. You could make that short form content. You could myth bust. Now, this is a great one to where if you notice people talking about something in your industry and you're like, come on, like that's not even legit. You could do some research real quick, just to confirm that, that nothing's changed essentially. And then you could go in, you could do a quick live stream. You could show, the details of whatever information that you are going to share that would prove that the way that people are kind of framing the things that people talk about in your industry, you could show that, hey, this is actually, how it goes down and all of that. You could do like myth busting thing. You could do an opinion stream, same exact thing. You watch somebody else's YouTube video in your space and you're like, they're doing that wrong, or this is completely incorrect. Without calling them out and without putting a spotlight on them and saying that they are incorrect, you just make a video talking about the right way, or the way that you think is the better approach to doing whatever thing it is that you happen to notice in that other YouTube video. So instead of being like, hey, this person made a YouTube video about this and they said this and blah, 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 you don't want to take that approach because you don't want to, shake the boat and, just kind of attack people or anything like that. So instead, what you do is you just say, like, let's say, for example, the video they made was about how much this sucks and that this is awesome. So then your video talks about, like how this is awesome. And there's a lot of people talking about how it's not awesome. And the reason that they're saying it's not awesome is because of these things. But if you actually learn how to use it and blah, 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 and then your whole thing doesn't have to call them out or have any negativity towards them. the whole thing is just a reframing of, that idea that you saw that you want to do. But you could make that into a really short piece of content, 5 to 10 minutes long, and you're done. And then what that is that would be an opinion piece then, which is great for connecting with a community of like-minded people, because the people that are on board with that opinion, they'll be like, hey, yeah, thumbs up. And the people that are like, oh no, I have one too and it sucks, those people are going to be like, actually, no. And then they're probably going to go hang out on the other channels. But in addition to that, you can also do progress updates. So like if you are trying to, like, let's say you're a gamer and you're trying to complete a game, or let's say that you are building something, if you're one of those people that build stuff for your videos, then in that case, you can just do an update like, hey, this is my progress of where I'm at. This is, phase 2 of this thing that I'm building. And this is just like an update for it. This is phase 3. This is phase 4, phase 5 of this thing that I'm building. And then that would be your weekly check-in to get that extra piece of content out there. That would be a quick piece of content that would be live. And then of course, lists about anything, like if you're making crafting content, 3 tips on, on making, your crafts better. If you are like the Creator Classroom that's hanging out here, and, she's showing people how to use Canva for, content stuff, then in that case, she can do 3 tips related to, Canva usage as an example. But the idea is to, figure out within the type of content that you make, something that you can go live about, to where you can just go live for 5 to 10 minutes and then wrap it up. And then you package that video up just like it's a normal piece of video content, because it would be, and then you let it ride from there. And then of course, afterwards, you have to make sure that you're post optimizing the content in terms of, you got to go in and trim off any, ending parts that you had in there. Make sure you cut it at the very beginning just a little bit, to make sure as soon as the stream starts, you're coming in hot, so to speak, with the actual content. And also any interactions that you have, if you do any type of, extended Q&A after you do your thing, or any type of, audience engagement type of activities when your short form content is complete, then go in and just cut all that stuff out. So then that way, again, you're lessening the difficulty of somebody committing time to the content that you made, because every minute that you're sitting there answering somebody's question is going to stack on to where some people just aren't going to have that amount of time to go in and consume your content. Next is, let's talk about just some specific things really quick in terms of just a quick brainstorm. So if let's say, for example, you're making real estate content. In that case, you could do like a quickly, weekly or monthly piece of content that just keeps people up to date on what's going on in the market, because you as an agent, or just a professional in any industry, this isn't just real estate. If you're a professional in any industry and you make content about it, anything that's going on in your industry, you can just give people, monthly or weekly updates with things that are happening in your industry. If it was a real estate agent specifically, or a service provider in an area, it doesn't have to be real estate, it can be anybody that does any type of service, is you could start a weekly live stream that would be about things to do in your area. So then that way it's like, hey, this weekend, every Friday you do this stream, and it's like, hey, this weekend, these are all the different things that we have going on in our town. And by doing that, what you would do is you would create a resource for people checking into every week, so that they didn't have to scour the internet and try to figure out what was going on. Over time, of course, a little bit of marketing attached to this would be a bonus, but over time, they would start to learn that if they want to figure out what's happening over the weekend, then they just check in on your YouTube channel real quick for those quick segments that you do, and then they can go on and go have some fun for the weekend. But the whole idea that I'm trying to express here is live streaming. The general point of view for live streams is that they're long, and that they need to be long, and that you have to do all these things like, the engagement with the chat and things like that, which is great. And some live streams are perfect for that. But you can also use live streams in another way as part of your content strategy, to just get out some additional content that, to get stuff off of your chest, or do any of the other things that we were talking about that would add value to your viewers, as a means to get that extra content out that can also bring more attention to anything it is that you're doing as well, and help you increase your views with your live streams as well, because that time commitment isn't there. So another thing that I want to bring to your just attention, I guess, to say, for lack of a better way to say it, is, just in case you're joining us, when it comes to long form content or long form live streams, there's definitely people that will hang out for those live streams regardless of how long they are. We've done extremely long live streams. We've had people that will hang out for the entire thing. In addition to that, those longer live streams, the longer it gets, the less accessible it gets for people that just don't have a lot of time, right? So the idea that we're trying to express here during this live stream is that if you can make shorter, one piece of shorter form content per month in terms of a live stream, one short live where you pop in and out, 5 to 10 minutes long, either every week or every month, that you can increase your view counts substantially and grow your channel faster and do everything else that you're trying to do faster, and even introduce those short form viewers to your long live stream content, because the people that won't click on the long stuff, some of them will click on the short stuff, and then they'll get to know you through the short content that you're putting out, or the short live streams that you're putting out, and they're going to dig what it is that you're doing there, and then they'll cross over into your long form content as well. So now we're going to open up the floor to you guys, everybody that's hanging out here. If you have any questions about any of the things that we were talking about here, or if you have any questions about, live streaming on YouTube in general, go ahead and drop them into the chat right now. Just make sure you put a Q in front of your question, and that will help me identify that the question that you have is for me and not just like a side conversation happening in the chat or anything like that. So this is a great one. Great question. So I'm actually going to put this one on the screen here so everybody can see it. It says, do you use a countdown for these shorter live videos? Is the increased views from live audience or mostly replay? So I do have live people that are coming in and participating in the live stream itself, but most of the views come after it's finished, which is the most important part about it. So thank you for asking this question. So when it comes to the longer live streams, the win there is typically that live stream involvement. Like right now, you ask me a question, I can answer it right here on the live stream, and there's value attached to that, right? Like that's a cool thing for you, and it's a cool thing for me because I get to help you out here in real time, and you get to get your question answered, right? So there's definitely a place for longer live streams. However, when it comes to the shorter live streams, that's where you make the entire thing just like it's a video, but you just create it live and quickly. So the difference is, on your longer form live streams, sure, you might want to have a countdown timer depending on where you're streaming to. If you're streaming to YouTube, never use a countdown timer. Even if you're repurposing your content or you're multicasting to YouTube, do not use a timer. And the reason for that is unless you go in and you cut that timer off after the stream is complete, then people are going to bail out, because when they come in and they see that timer, like let's say somebody shows your live stream replay on the homepage. Let's say YouTube shows it to somebody on the homepage. So they show it to somebody, they click on it, and then they come in and they're like, I got to wait 4 minutes for this to start. Some people are going to be like, oh, okay, I'll just skip it. Not a big deal. But other people are going to be like, oh, it's okay, I'll go watch something else. Not a big deal, right? Because there's so much content for us to watch. So because of that, if you are live streaming to YouTube, do not use a countdown timer. However, if you are streaming to other places, definitely using a countdown timer for the longer live streams is a good idea, because then it gives the people that are there for the live experience, it gives them that opportunity. But the way to think about the shorter form live streams is that you're making that content live, but the whole purpose of that content is so that people can enjoy it on the replay just like it's a piece of video content. Because that's what it will be. It'll be a video on demand on YouTube. So what it is, or the way that you structure it, is as soon as you hit the go live button, you start delivering the content, right? Just like I did when this stream started. As soon as you hit go live, you just start delivering the content, and then you just go through the content. You don't even interact with the people that are hanging out in chat until the content is finished. And then once that happens, you have the option, of course, to continue that live stream and just have more people coming in there and do whatever it is that you want to do after the content is finished. Or you can just end the stream as soon as the content is finished, and your community and the people that are interacting with your content are going to start to get familiar with, hey, we can come in here and talk to each other, but this particular type of live stream, at least this is what's happening with mine, to where people get familiar with the idea of like, hey, if I want to hang out and talk to Nick, then I'm going to go into the longer live streams. But if I want to come in, stay up to date with what's going on YouTube and all of that, then I can talk to everybody else and hang out with everybody else in the community. But when it comes to Nick, that conversation is going to happen in the longer live streams, right? Because he's not going to interact during the recording, I should say, of the shorter form live streams. So definitely don't use a countdown timer for them. And you don't even have to interact with your community during these. You just come in, give whatever content it is that you're going to give, and you end it. What you want to think about is you want to think about the final product they're going to get. So when somebody is going to watch that on the replay, like what are they going to experience, right? And what you want them to experience structurally is they click on it. As soon as they come in, you're letting them know exactly what it is that you're going to be talking about during that live stream. And then you get into the actual content itself. As soon as the content's finished, you have another video on your channel. And this is going to require just a little bit of planning on your part. But you have another video on your YouTube channel that you recommend that they watch next. And you literally, the live viewers aren't going to see it, but the replay viewers will. And you tell them. So, if you enjoyed this, I've got, more videos on my YouTube channel about whatever it is that you do on your channel. You can check out more of those here. And then by doing that, what you're doing is you're literally making that short form piece of content as like a funnel piece, so to speak, to bring even brand new people into your other content as well, right? So you want to structure everything like a normal video all the way down to handing people off to that next video in the stream. So hopefully that makes sense. But the whole long game of the short form content is the replay. Just like I was showing in my stats, when it comes to the fall off on the replay, the long live streams, they'll lose views, relatively fast. But when it comes to the shorter form content, the shorter form live streams, like those are a lot of those, unless it was something that was isolated to a moment in time, because it's news in my case. So if it was isolated to just that moment in time, but now, everybody knows about it and things like that, those will fall off. But everything else is still, it's still getting regular views, just like a normal video was, or just like a normal video does. Great question. Thank you for asking that. Let's see here. So Sterling Trucking Deliver says, maybe I shouldn't do 9-hour live shows anymore. Well, like I said, like there's a place for those, right? So when it comes to thriving on social media in general and just being a content creator, publishing content, it is important to make sure that you do have some type of strategy in place in terms of, I do this type of content for this reason. I do this type of content for this reason. I do this type of content for this reason. I do this type of content for this reason. That helps you structure things appropriately. That helps you lead people at the end of those into the right places. That helps you get the right calls to actions in place. It helps you all the way around when you're like, okay, I'm doing this for this reason, this for this reason. So in your case specifically, those 9-hour streams could be like, hey, I'm taking people on the road, if that's what you're doing. Hey, I'm taking people on the road, just giving them some insights here, and my community loves it. But I'm going to start doing some of these like 5 to 10 minute quick just jump in streams where I'm not interacting with anybody, but I'm just going to be sharing some, information around what it is that I do that adds value to them in some way, right? That's the approach. Let's see here. Life on YouTube and Twitter. Good afternoon. Glad to see you in here. So Anne Marie says, how did you post a short video for your upcoming event where you talked about what the upcoming video was about? So inside of YouTube, there's an option when you are setting up your live streams to add a channel trailer. So if you're a StreamYard user, what you'd want to do is you want to get everything all scheduled up inside of StreamYard. And then once it's scheduled, you want to log into your YouTube account. And inside of your YouTube account, you click into your live stream there, and then you click on a setting called customization. And then at the bottom of that customization page, you're going to see the option to add a trailer. Now, what you have to do first is you got to make that trailer. You got to make that short video, and then you have to upload it to your YouTube channel as an unlisted video. So you have the option to make it public, unlisted, or private. And you also have the option to schedule as well, but you just want to upload it as unlisted, and then you can add it in there, but it's not going to be public on your YouTube channel. And you don't want to make it public on your YouTube channel because it's not an actual piece of value content. So you just upload it unlisted, and then you can assign that to your live streams every time you go live. So you can make a general one like I do, or if you want to, you could make one for every live stream that you do. The choice, of course, in that case would be yours. Let's see here. So Sterling Trucking Driver says, is it bad to do multiple live shows in a day? I wouldn't do multiple back-to-back 9-hour shows if it was me, but multiple live shows are fine. But just keep in mind that when it comes to notifications on YouTube, they only put out 3 per channel per 24-hour period. So because of that, like people will only get notified of the first 3 that you do. So just, keep that in mind. Also keep in mind that the more content that you stack on top of yourself, of course, that's more people that can get recommended that content as long as you're isolating it topically to different types of, viewers. But what's going to happen in some cases is for your most engaged viewers, they're going to get presented with like all of these videos, and they're going to have to make the choice on which ones they want to watch. And therefore, you're going to end up competing with yourself a little bit. But that's okay in some cases, depending on what it is that you're doing with your content. Because again, if you have it all framed to get into like different audiences and things like that, in terms of the topics that you're talking about, then in that case, it'd be okay. So let me explain what that looks like, because that sounds kind of like a pretty vague answer. So let's say, for example, here on the StreamYard channel, let's say that if they had a excuse me, if they had one live stream dedicated towards like Facebook, they had another live stream dedicated towards LinkedIn, and they had another live stream dedicated towards YouTube every single day, they could do that. And since one was dedicated towards YouTube, then in that particular case, YouTube would more likely recommend, at least on YouTube would more likely recommend the people that are more interested in YouTube related topics, that YouTube video. And then the people that are more interested in LinkedIn related topics, they would recommend those people that LinkedIn video. And the only downside of that is that the people that are the most engaged, that watch like everything that you put out, those people are likely to see everything. So because of that, that's where you might hurt yourself in terms of, people having to make, that choice. But if people have time, they can watch, all of them back to back, as long as they're not too long. But the idea is to just think about, okay, am I kind of overwhelming people with my content here? And can I separate it with with the type of content that I make, so that it would go out to different audiences? Just to give you another reference to make sure that that idea is clear in terms of targeting the different audiences. If I was going to do that on my channel, I would do the same thing, to where I would do like mobile content creators or people doing everything on their phone as one piece of content. And then I would do, like computer users for another piece of content. And then let's say another piece of content would be about live streaming. So then in that particular case, that would go out to, different, different folks, even though some folks would be doing all of the above. So therefore I would end up in the same boat where some of that content would be competing with itself. Let's see here. So Tira says, to justify, do I stream the shorter video live but unlisted and then make it listed, or do I stream live to public? So you actually stream it live to the public. And you stream it live to the public, so that anybody that does want to come in and hang out while it's live, they can do that. And then that also helps YouTube get a little bit of data on that. If you do have people coming into your streams, then that helps YouTube get a little bit of data in terms of who the right people are to show that content to, because it's literally collecting that data as people are coming in and interacting. And by doing that, you're kind of teaching the system what that particular, or who that particular piece of content is a good fit for. So absolutely, you want to do that live. And then once the live stream is complete, you go in and you post optimize your stream, which means you cut off any extra space that you had just kind of waiting for everything to start. Meaning, like when you first come in, you know how like when you hit the button, sometimes when you watch it back on the replay, like you'll be sitting there for a second and then you'll, do the thing. You'll start talking or whatever, but there'll be this little bit of a gap of time where you're kind of waiting for confirmation that you're live and stuff like that. And then, if you have any extra space you need to cut off of the back, and then plus you would go and you would add an end screen. Maybe you add a pinned comment so that you can lead people into additional content in your channel. Maybe you add YouTube cards to like relevant videos if you happen to talk about other things during those streams, that type of thing. Let's see here. Hey, Doug, what's up, man? So Speak to Existence says, if there are multiple people in live streams and say all have YouTube channels, can we all upload the live stream replays to our respective YouTube channels without repurposed content repercussions? No, don't do that. So what you would want to do, and this is a live streaming in general question here. So what you would want to do there is you would want to pick one person's YouTube channel and you would want to isolate it to that. Now, technically you could make a bunch of clips out of that, and then you could distribute the clips to all of the different people that were involved in the live stream, but they would be different clips. So the same people would be in the clips, but the content within the clips would all be different, and then that would all be distributed across everyone. And then that way, this person would have 3 clips, this person would have 3 clips, and you would have 3 clips. And then that would give everybody the opportunity to actually publish some of that content on your channel, but only one of the channels would have the actual live stream itself. Eric, wait, what's up, man? Happy holidays. Definitely starting early. Our Black Utopia, glad that you are enjoying the content. Stevan, what's up, man? Hope you're doing awesome. Let's see here. Looking for these cues, looking for questions. Is StreamYard compatible with external Lightning microphones such as the DJI mic? So with StreamYard, it's compatible with anything you can plug into your computer. So for example, to get this signal in right here, I have it going through like an ATEM Mini, but it's a DSLR camera. So I need to have the ATEM Mini as kind of like an interface in between. Technically, depending on the camera that I use, I could plug it directly into the computer as well as a USB. But these are just like the DJI microphones that you are talking about. And with these, technically, I can plug this into my Rodecaster, and then I just have to assign in StreamYard my Rodecaster or any audio interface. It doesn't have to be a Rodecaster. And then you would just assign that as the audio source to your live stream, and then you'd be able to use it fine inside of StreamYard as well. But you're going to need something as a go, as like an in-between. Now, one thing that I do know, let me see if I have it laying over here, is that they do make this Rode microphone also makes this. It's really cheap, but basically it's this little device right here, and the actual thing of it's called a AI Micro, and on my MacBook I can plug this in because it's USB-C. So you can't see it there, but it's a USB-C. You're gonna have to trust me on that. But it's a USB-C, and I plug this into my MacBook, and then I can plug this directly into this for the receiver. And then by doing that, it will get this signal directly into the computer as well. So this works as the interface in that particular, in that particular case. Oops, sorry about that there. So next up says, do you think there are some niches where live streams don't really work in terms of building a community? I'm in personal growth productivity. Personal growth and productivity, it absolutely works, because in your particular case, like you're trying to help people, like improve their lives and improve the way that they do stuff. So without question, in your case specifically, live streams would be great. It would be great to do the short form thing, like I'm talking about, in terms of like leveling up just the overall performance of live streams in general, but also just for the pop-ins to, hang out with your community. In terms of like, hey, you're trying to get personal growth, I'm just going to answer questions, like trying to help you out for like the next hour or 30 minutes or whatever. And then I'm also going to do a live stream, like, once a week in addition to that, to where I just pop in and I just give, 3 tips on productivity or 3 tips on, personal growth every single Friday or something like that. So without question, definitely works in your case in terms of building a community. In fact, like if I was doing personal growth content and productivity content, I would actually be doing half and half. So I would be doing, like, if I'm uploading 1 video a week, I'd be doing 1 live stream a week. If I was doing 2 videos a week, I'd be doing 2 live streams a week. And the reason for that is because that particular, type of viewer, like they're hungry, right? They're hungry. Like, hey, what can I consume to try to, improve myself? So because of that, like I would be like, for every piece of video content you do, I would if it was me, I'd be doing a live stream for it as well. Either a long one or a short one or a mixture of the two, just so you can just keep feeding them content, because, like I said, that particular type of audience is extremely, extremely content hungry. So next up, we've got KMH Family says, hey, Nick, hope all is well. Hope you are too. Says, as you know, we've been planning on doing a live for a while with the 200,000 subscriber celebration live. Would you recommend cutting out our giveaway tool in StreamYard when we edit our live? So you can show it in there if you want to. Like it's totally your call. Like when you are doing that, if you are saying like, hey, we're going to be using this thing and all of that, and you're showing it on a portion of your screen or the whole screen or something like that, then in that case, it would still show them like, hey, who's going to win, like what's going on. Like that thing is more appropriate for people that are actually hanging out in the live stream. But like, if you're going to leave the live stream up anyway, then in that case, you might as well, just leave that part in. But I would go in and I would make sure that you're cutting off, just stuff that doesn't matter at the beginning or maybe at the end. But for those types of things, I would leave it in. But if you're like, hey, we're actually downloading it, because you're saying when you edit it. So if you're downloading that live stream and then you're editing it up for a tighter piece of content and then you're re-uploading it, in that case, then absolutely I would take it out. So what you might want to do is you might want to leave it in just for like a quick, to where it just shows its start to go. And just so people know what's going on, like, hey, how are they picking the winner, that type of stuff. Just show it for a second, like, hey, this is how we're doing it. Or this is, like it's starting to go here. And then you don't have to wait through it to go through the whole thing. I would just do like the start and then just have it jump to the winner and then move on, right? So then that way, like it would still be in there. They would know exactly how you're picking the winners. And then it would just be a really quick thing for them, to where it's like, oh, hey, here it's starting. You see like 3 names and then bam, it's on the winner. And then you get, right back into the, actual content itself. That's what I would do. Creator Classroom says, what is your opinion on having a guest host for a stream? Guest hosts are cool. So I did really the foundation of my live stream was built doing a live stream with my brother. So I was going live, by myself for a really long time. And then shortly after I crossed 100,000 subscribers, D, my brother, he built a live streaming studio for us. And it's awesome. Like, we're going to be streaming there on Christmas Eve. But like, one of the awesome things about having a co-host is it just makes it so much more fun. So like when I'm sitting here and I'm doing my live streams myself, like, I enjoy it because, I get to interact with everybody and I get to, just add, this value, answer questions, real time, stuff like that. So like, I enjoy, doing it myself also. But when it comes to like the long live stream, like, it doesn't compare. Like, in my opinion, like doing it in person, with my brother, like, the solo version doesn't even remotely compare. So like, like, I get a lot more energy. I'm way more focused. I just have a lot more fun, when I'm doing it with my, brother. But yeah, having co-host is fantastic, or guest host is also fantastic. Let's see here, looking for any questions that we have. If you're just joining us, if you have a question, make sure you put a Q in front of it. That helps me identify that you have a question. Sterling Trucking says, I've been doing shorter StreamYard live shows, but I do them very early. Any suggestions for replay engagement? So just a heads up on engagement. So technically, watch time also counts as engagement. But the thing you want to focus on when it comes to engagement, if you're trying to generate more engagement, if you're thinking algorithmically, you just want to focus on the like button and getting people to watch your content more, and of course, getting people to share it and watch more videos once they get to the end of your video. When it comes to the comment section, that doesn't impact you in any way algorithmically. So because of that, when it comes to engagement to focus on, you want to focus on the things that actually matter, which are getting people to watch more content, making sure people are enjoying the content that they're watching, and then of course having them hit that like button, which, by the way, if you haven't yet, make sure you hit the like button here, just as a, it's how I kind of gauge how we do here during these live streams in terms of the value. But in terms of if you do them very early, and you're wanting to, get the replays, doing well, what you want to make sure that you're thinking about is just the structure of your live stream. So here on the StreamYard channel, I actually have an entire video, a whole piece of content about how to get more views on your YouTube live streams. I recommend that you watch that. There's actually a link to the playlist in the video description of this stream right now. But the whole idea is that you just structure it in a way to where you can cut it up properly for the replay. So what that looks like, just in case you haven't been, introduced to this idea in some of my other content before, is, all the shout out stuff that we do when the stream first starts, or maybe the waiting around, or maybe you have a bunch of buffer stuff that you do while you're waiting for people to come into the stream. Like for me, my buffer stuff while I'm waiting for people to show up is I'm like, hey, this is what we're doing today. This stream is brought to you by, TubeBuddy and StreamYard. And, this is what we're talking about. Hey, been a great week. Super excited to blah, blah, blah. Right. So I had this whole thing that I do before we start getting into the actual Q&A side of my live streams. So because of that, if I was making those for the purpose of having a great replay experience, what I would do is what I call a reset. That reset is where before you get into the actual content, you say, so if you're just joining us, today we're talking about, and then you go whatever it is that you say whatever it is that you are going to be talking about or showing, or the experience you're going to be taking people through or whatever during that particular live stream. And the reason that you set it up that way is because you create a cut point. Right? That's what that reset is for. So you have that entire thing where like, hey, welcome to the live stream, what's going on? You have like all this other stuff that you're doing while you're kind of getting everything going. But then that moment where you're like, hey, if you're just joining us, and you just take a moment to pause, just a really quick moment, because you'll be able to isolate it in the waveform when you're actually editing it down in YouTube. But you're like, hey, if you're just joining us, today we're talking about. And then when you go into the YouTube editor after the live stream is complete, you look for that moment in time where you're like, today we're talking about, and then right before you say today, that's where you cut it. And then the replay, the people that are coming in on that, the way that they're going to experience it is they click play. Today we're talking about blah, 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 or today I'm going to be taking you and showing you blah, 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 blah. And then that way they have that hook, and they are going to, be more committed to the video, because they're not going to have to sit through all that, hey, welcome to the stream. Hey, what's going on? Brandon Bautista, what's going on? Doug Houston, White. Like, they're not going to have to, stick around for any of that, because they're not even going to know it was there in the first place unless they watched it live. They're just going to experience the actual content itself. So then from that point on, for the actual structure, what you want to do is you want to give them the content itself. And then once you get to the end, you want to make sure that you are recommending another piece of content. So before, because you can cut this stuff off too at the, you know, when you're actually cutting it down in YouTube's editor. So what you can do is before you have any sign off stuff that you do, or before you say like, hey, you know, and that's going to be the end of the stream today or whatever, you just say, hey, you know, by the way, if you are, you don't even have to say if you're watching this on the replay. You can say, hey, you know, if you enjoyed this, you know, I've got a lot more content like this on my channel. You can, you know, watch more videos just like this here. Or if you have a very specific video that you want to hand people off to based on the topic that you're talking about in the originating video, then in that case, you would think, what would be complimentary to this on my channel for the viewer that would like this, or that would enjoy this particular thing that we're talking about? And then you tell them, hey, you know, click into this and watch this next. And then by doing that, what you do is you come in, you cut at that first cut point of, you know, today we're talking about, you cut there, and then you cut off any of the stuff after you do that handoff where you're like, okay, guys, you know, that's my way of, you know, kind of saying the stream is over. I hope everybody, you know, enjoyed yourselves, blah, blah, blah. Then you cut that stuff off as well. And then you're left with a nice tight piece of content that's much more, that you can add much more value to people from, and that they can consume more easily from the replay. Martin, good morning. Welcome to the stream today. So I'm looking for cues. So I know that they are, I know that there are questions here. So if you do have a question, make sure you put a cue in front of your question, so I know that it is for me. Hey, Jerry, what's up, dude? Hope you're doing awesome. Yeah, this is actually coconut water is what this is. So so we have a market, like a it's like vegetables and all that stuff. It's like 5 minutes from where I live. So so we get like coconuts over there. So then I'm experimenting, because like right where I am, it's like 10:25 p.m. So so because of that, drinking coffee this late, I'm trying to kind of wean myself off of that and just go more towards coconut water, just so I can stay hydrated and all that stuff during the stream. Let's see here. Yeah, these things, Neil's World says the Rode Micro seems to be overpriced in India, around $80. I'm in Thailand, and it's all overpriced here too. Like we get hit with, you know, all the import taxes and all that stuff too. It's unfortunate. But it's, you know, it's like, if you want the stuff, like it's what you got to do, unfortunately. So Enos Luby says, when will you be able to move the boxes that you're hosting your panel and change the size of boxes? You're hosting your panel. If you're talking about StreamYard, I'm not sure. If that is like a feature request, I recommend that you make that in their Facebook group. And then that way, you know, the developers will see it, and the, you know, the people that are making the calls on what features are coming next and all that, they'll be able to see it. And if that's something that they're working on, they'll let you know. If it's not, then, you know, they'll let you know it was added to the queue, or at least passed on to the right people to consideration. Jerry Popandrea says, would you recommend adding a mid-roll ad post stream? So when it comes to mid-rolls on YouTube videos, I like mid-rolls for the content creators. I don't like mid-rolls for the viewers, right? So for the content creator, because, you know, that's, you know, a content creator here, right? So like, you know, you're like, you know, like you're my peeps, right? As a content creator. So I'm thinking like, okay, if Jerry added mid-rolls, then he would make more money from his, you know, from his replays. So because of that, or you can insert them during your live stream as well, just as a heads up. So some channels have access to that already, but either inserting it during stream or adding them as a mid-roll. Just some things to consider here when making this decision. So one, if it's like if it's like an 8-minute long thing where you just qualify for it, then I wouldn't even worry. I wouldn't add them to that. But if it's like a longer piece of content, feel free to add it. But just keep in mind that some people are going to see that and they're going to end up bailing on the video because of it. But some people, or a lot of people, aren't even going to see them. So basically, when it comes to the ads that you get served on YouTube as a viewer, that they have an ad tolerance, which means that if somebody sees like a certain amount of ads within a certain amount of time, then they'll kind of back it off a little bit, which is also why longer videos are kind of, you know, a win in some cases, because then you kind of bring people through that ad tolerance. So then on the next video, if they didn't see one on yours, they'll get an ad. But premium users aren't going to see them. And if somebody's just recently watched an ad, like let's say at the beginning of your live stream, let's say you have a 10-minute stream, you put an ad at 5 minutes. If somebody just watched an ad coming into your video, then it's not as likely that they're actually going to see that mid-roll in the first place. So when you do drop them in there, it's mostly for people that aren't paying for YouTube Premium and stuff like that anyway. So, so because of that, I would consider all those things before you put it in there, but balance out. Like if you're just wanting to make more money from the content that you're putting out there and you're like, yeah, I just want to make more money from it, then in that case, absolutely add them. But But if you're like, I'm kind of on the fence because viewer money, keep in mind with this also that content creators have a huge churn rate in terms of people coming in and people not interacting with the content anymore or hardly interacting with it at all. So because of that, then in that case, also thinking of yourself in terms of like, hey, let's see if we can get those, see if I can get my RPMs up a bit. Then in that case, you could definitely use the mid-roll ads to play with it. So just some things to think about on that, on the experimental side, and use grouping for this, Jerry, is go in and have like a nice selection of videos, like let's say like 10 to 15 videos where you add the mid-roll ads on the replays, and then have like 10 or 15 where you don't, and then just start to get a gauge on, performance, money being generated, things like that. And then start, that will help you uncover if it's like worth it for you to add those in there or not, because you'll see everything else that is involved, not just, the RPMs increasing. Let's see here. So, Sim Sia says, what tool are you using to display transparent graphics on your screen? So for this, I'm using StreamYard. But with this, it's not supposed to be transparent. So I think what I did is when I was exporting this out of Photoshop, or when I dropped it into Photoshop, I think I accidentally, you know what? Because I pulled this from the thumbnail, and in the thumbnail, you can see that I actually dialed it back a little bit. So that's exactly what happened. So all I did was in Photoshop is I actually lowered the opacity. I didn't intend for it to be this way, by the way. This is a total accident. But I lowered the opacity inside of Photoshop so that the purple lines wouldn't grab so much attention in the thumbnail, because I wanted you to focus on the 260% increase and see that it was for live streamers. So because of that, I exported this. I just dragged it over into another document and then shrunk the size down, and I didn't think about it because it was on a white background at the time. Exported it as a transparent ping after I removed that white background. And then when I put it in here, it just came out this way. So what you want to do if you want a similar effect is, one, just as a heads up, you can load any graphics that you want into StreamYard to display on the screen. But two, if you want to make them like semi-transparent like this, just lower the opacity in whatever software you're using to create your graphics, and then you should be good to go from there. Let's see here. Looking for more questions here. Let's see here. Unseen Thailand and Chiang Mai. What's going on? Hey, we still got to meet up. Hope that you're doing awesome. We gotta like meet up and grab a coffee, man. Let's see here. So let me scroll down here. We've got StreamYard saying, hey, what's going on? I think that might be Andrew. If it is Andrew, what's going on, my man? Hope you're doing great. So the next question that we have here says, is there a limit? This is from Daniel and Yuka. Says, is there a limit on the number of viewers in a YouTube live stream with the basic premium plan versus the professional plan? The comparison for a professional says StreamYard on-air limit of 250. So to my understanding, you can have as many viewers as possible in your actual live stream itself. I didn't know that they have an actual on-air limit of 250. I'm not sure what that means. I don't know if that means if they detect that you have a lot more viewers, that they're going to, try to get you to upgrade the plan. That might be what that means. I'm going to look into that for clarity. So I recommend that you actually reach out to support on that one, because that's a pretty specific question. And I would definitely hit them up for the answer to that one, because that's my first time. It's my first time hearing that was even displayed somewhere. So let's see here. Looking for more questions. Andrew Can. Yeah, I think it is him. What's up, dude? Oh, and then we see I see an Andrew Can. So yeah, I don't know who's what here, like what's going on. But what's up, Andrew? Hope you're doing great. Whoever's behind the StreamYard logo, what's going on? Hope you're doing awesome. Oh, let's see here. Looking for cues for questions. Okay, Mark's Home Kitchen says, hey, Nick, I'm new to live streaming. 3 live streams only. Hey, congratulations to you for getting started, right? The biggest hurdle people have when it comes to live streaming is just getting the courage to hit the go live button, because so many people are afraid of looking stupid or sounding stupid or just forgetting what they're going to say or like whatever. So high five and fist bump to you for just like going for it and making the thing happen. But says, what do you think is the best way to get me more viewers? I'm in the cooking niche. So I've got videos on the StreamYard channel, which you're watching this on. So you can just click on the link in the description to the playlist. That'll just share tons of tips that'll help you in a lot of different ways when it comes to streaming to YouTube. But I'll just give you some tips though. So first, make sure that you schedule them in advance. 2, make sure that you optimize them around a topic of some kind. And the reason that you want to do that is because if it's just like, Mark's Home Kitchen's live stream is your title, title, that's not real compelling to people that don't know who Mike's Home Kitchen is, right? For your like core viewers, sure, they'll know who you are. But even then, if you added something to it to let them know the value they're going to be getting out of it, then that would level it up, again. But the idea is you want to think about, okay, for the people, if you're using this to grow your channel, then you want to think about, okay, for the people that are not familiar with me, but they're who it is that I'm targeting with my content, people that are looking to like learn how to cook or, whatever it is that you're doing, then in that particular case, you want to make sure that you're optimizing everything, thumbnail and title, just like you would a video. And instead of optimizing it around the idea that it's a live stream, just optimize it just like it's a piece of video content, meaning make sure that you have imagery in the thumbnail that's going to help people that are interested in your type of content identify that it's your type or that it's that type of content that they are interested in. So in your case, having food or, things related to making food, if you're showing people how to make it, those types of things in the actual thumbnail. And then for the title, make sure that you are just being clear in terms of what it is that you're offering in the content and compelling in terms of this is the information of what we're doing, but this is why you need to, come into this particular live stream, right? So just optimizing everything around that is something you want to do. So just to repeat, scheduling your live stream far enough in advance that enough people are going to see it to be able to hit the reminder. Adding a trailer to your live stream is another part of that. And the reason you want to add a trailer is because if they click on it, if you schedule it in advance and they just see the thumbnail there and they just have the option to click the reminder, there's no real context there. But if you make a trailer for it, then you're like, hey, this is what I'm going to be showing you. These are, just some things that, some feedback we're getting from the community. So therefore we're doing this live stream so that we can, kind of get into the weeds of what it is that we're doing and just kind of help other people understand how to cook better, those types of things. Whatever it is that you're offering, just wrap your trailer around the value proposition of that. And then, of course, scheduling in advance with that trailer attached is definitely something that you want to make sure that you do. And then optimizing your stream around a singular topic instead of, making it like, hey, this is instead of making it like, hey, this is Mark's Home Kitchen's Hangout live stream or Mark's Home Kitchen live or we're live or, something like that. Optimize it around a actual topic so people that aren't even familiar with your channel can see it and be like, oh, hey, somebody's cooking. I'm into that. This is the thing. Wow, they're showing how to make this recipe. And, the whole thing's only going to take them, 30 minutes. Yeah, I'm going to watch this, that type of thing. Let's see here. So we're looking for more Qs. If you are just joining the stream right now, we're doing the Q&A part of the stream, which is where I'm answering questions about live streaming to YouTube. If you're wanting to see exactly what we did for that 270% increase, definitely make sure that you do check this out on the replay as well, because a lot of really good information there about how you can start, doubling, tripling, quadrupling, in some cases, the views that you're getting on your live streams. Aaron's House of Lego says, I do streams on building Lego sets. Any tips on how I should position my camera? I would have, if you can, I would have two cameras. If you're a StreamYard user, you can actually have a camera facing you, just like I have right now. And then if you have two webcams and you don't have all the other stuff, then in that case, you could have two webcams plugged in. You want to plug them into different USB ports. So for example, you would have one plugged into like the front USB and then another one plugged into the back USB. And then you can present inside of StreamYard an additional camera, and that will give you a second view. So then what you can do is you can have the camera where you're able to switch it and talk to them about something or whatever, to where you see you and then you see what you're building right here, and then have an overhead camera where you can also get into that type of detail as well for the people. Like, let's say you're building something. If you have a bunch of Legos stacked up here, but then you're working on something here, this camera view, they're not going to be able to see it. But if you have an overhead camera, then you'd be able to switch back and forth inside of StreamYard, and they would be able to see this view when you're talking to them and showing this part of the build, and then they would have the overhead camera for when you're working on the other side of the build. Let's see here. Okay, so the Artist Haven. Hey, what's up, Trish? So says, what are your findings on using a trailer for your live stream? Sorry if you talked about this one, I missed some. Oh, no worries. So they are definitely helpful with getting more people to come into the live streams. I find that with my other live streams that I do, when I schedule these a little bit more in advance, they have proven to be more helpful here as well about just adding some context. If I was really, like, if I was aggressive, right? Like, let's say if I was somebody, just to give some context here, if I was somebody that used live streams only as the way to grow my YouTube channel, then in that case, I would make a trailer for every single live stream that I did. Like if I'm talking about different things all the time, then I would make a trailer for like, okay, part of my workflow would be, okay, we're going live on Tuesday and we're gonna be talking about this. Then in that case, I would be like, okay, I'm gonna make a trailer, just a quick trailer. Maybe it's just me sitting there talking to my phone or walking down the street talking to my phone or whatever, but I'm just gonna let people know, since I'm scheduling these in advance, I'm gonna let people know exactly what it is that they can expect from this live stream so that they have some context and so that they can just get a little bit of communication directly from me through that trailer as well. So I would definitely use it. I would make a unique one for every live stream if I was trying to use the channel or streams only to grow the channels. Or if I just wanted to put in that extra work, then, I would do that as well. But you can do a pretty general one and that'll, in most cases serve, the purpose. If you're like, okay, what do I typically do in my live streams? And then you think of a way to kind of generalize that in the trailer, then that can be fine as well. Let's see here. So Sterling Truck Driver says, I love StreamYard. Oh, this is great. I hope the StreamYard team hears this. Says, I love StreamYard. It has saved me from abandoning my YouTube channel. That's awesome. What a great testimonial that is. Yeah, you should actually email them that, because that type of thing, I mean, that's pretty massive. So that type of thing is definitely great. Oh, they do. They saw it right here. That's great. That type of thing is just great for anybody that provides any type of service or product or anything. That type of feedback is just fantastic. So Fanjecture, I love your channel name, says, if you recorded YouTuber news as an upload 5 minutes vid instead of live, do you think the metrics would be higher? I've actually tested that on 2 of them so far, and they were not, which made me, on those particular 2, of course, to really get into it, I would need to, I would need to make a bunch of, videos that are like that, let's say 8 more. However, with the way that I structure them and the way that I do it and the way that I, kind of put everything together, I don't think that I need to. The first 2, there wasn't a difference in how people responded to them compared to the live streams themselves. That's why I was like, hey, I'm just gonna focus in on doing live. So I really don't think that it would make a big difference. And the reason for that is the structure. So when they first start, I don't lollygag and all that. I just come in and I'm like, hey, this is what you're watching right now. This is what we're talking about today. And then I go through the points of what we're talking about, and then I hand off to another video, and then we're done. Right. So then by the time that all of that stuff happens in terms of this is what's going on in the stream, this is what we're talking about, and then you start getting into the points, then by that point in time, it's okay, I'm in, for at least a few minutes on here. Buckeye the Cat says, how do you live stream with a cat channel? He isn't always camera ready and active. Yeah, for that one, me personally, I wouldn't. So there's probably some stuff that you could do for that one, but I'm not sure, because the whole thing is focused on the cat. The only thing that I could think of is actually attaching a live streaming device to the cat itself and just kind of letting the cat kind of do its thing. But with that, you would need either a wireless thing to do that. I know the Insta360R, I think it does that sort of thing. But basically it would just be the cat doing what it's doing, and you may or may not want that to happen just for privacy reasons and that kind of stuff. So if it was me, I wouldn't, but I mean, technically there is stuff that you could do that would be interesting. Hey, let's attach this to a cat, and just kind of see, what they do when they're around the house type of thing. Eric Waite says, any word on YouTube getting rid of spammers in live streams? They're constantly working on that. They've actually done a really good job. They're still coming in, but they have reduced it. I know I'm in an experiment right now with them where they are testing some more strict comment moderation on my channel in particular, and some other channels as well. It's not just isolated to me, but they're testing that right now. So they're working on it. But I'm guessing just based on the nuance of just how people leave comments, that it's probably going to take them a while to get that one dialed in. Let's see here. So really quick. So, King Pookie Nation says, what's StreamYard on air? So StreamYard on air, and that might be where that 250 limitation actually came in, by the way. So StreamYard on air is where you are, you have the option to do webinars and those types of things, where it's not just isolated to public live streaming, to where you can also bring people into your live streams, kind of like doing like think of it kind of like a private live stream type of thing is the option, but they also have some other use cases for it as well. I just briefly looked into it when I saw the pop-up myself. So I'll know more in detail about that probably tomorrow, because I'll be digging into it more also. But as of right now, I also just recently saw that pop up, so I wasn't familiar with that. But for those of you that are StreamYard users, if you don't know that they rolled this out already, one thing that I am familiar with is that they did add the option for, like, let's say you're a podcaster, let's say that you have guests onto your stream. One thing that you can do now is you can have the local recordings happen. So what that means is, like, let's say that I had Creator Classroom do a live stream with me, then they would actually record the stream on their end in their browser in StreamYard, and then I would record it on my end in the browser in StreamYard, and then I would have the high quality versions of both without having the as the host, without having the degradation of the live stream, compression and all that stuff happen, for their stream to come through. So you get better audio quality, better video quality, and all of that with that particular feature. So if you are somebody that's not using StreamYard yet, but you do have guests on, or you do podcasts or any type of interview type content, then you definitely want to check that particular feature out. So Learning with Amani says, what's the difference between YouTube live stream and StreamYard live stream? So with YouTube live stream, you hit the go live button and you go live, right? So that can be enough, for some people. But if you want to level things up, then with StreamYard, it allows you to multicast, which means that I can go live right here. And I have the option, right now I'm just streaming to YouTube, but I have the option to where I can also stream to like Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and anywhere else that I want to stream to, all at the same time. So this one live stream goes out to all these different platforms, and then StreamYard collects the comments into their interface. So then you can see all the different comments for all the different platforms and everything happening like right there in the same interface inside of StreamYard. So it's a great way to kind of distribute your live streams across multiple platforms. In addition to that, they make it really easy to bring guests on, which on YouTube, in order to bring a guest on through a YouTube live stream, they have to have a YouTube channel. That YouTube channel has to not have any copyright strikes or any community guideline strikes, and then you have to like set up the stream like ahead of time, and like it's a process to get somebody to come in live there. But on StreamYard, all you have to do is they have a little invite link. You click that invite button, you hit copy, they give you a little link, and then you just send that to them in a message. They can come in on their phone, they can come in on a computer, they don't have to have a YouTube channel or any other social account. They can just come directly into your stream on whatever device that they have. In addition to that, you can add graphics onto the screen. You can add videos. You can add, anything. Like you can add, all kinds of stuff in here. You can share your screen, and none of that stuff is possible on just regular YouTube Live. So think of YouTube Live as like just the bare bones, like, hey, I'm just going live. And then think of StreamYard as like, hey, I'm trying to make like a really cool live stream, make it, where, I've got, different stuff happening during the live stream. So let's see here. So Mark's Home Kitchen says, I have 3,200 watch hours. Will live streaming help with upping those hours? Without question. So as long as you have people coming into your live stream and participating, and you leave those live streams public, if you unlist them, then no. But if you leave them public, then in that case, any live viewer that comes in there, you're getting credited for every minute that person spends in your live stream. Let's see here. Okay, so Sim Saya says, where are the transparent graphics available for use during a live stream? Yeah, you make those. You make them. So I didn't even realize, I mentioned before, I didn't even realize that they were transparent. I just lowered the opacity on accident. Well, it wasn't on accident. It was for the thumbnail. But then when I repurposed that same image for the graphic that I was using on screen here, it came up with that transparency. So Sassafras Cath, that's a fun name, says, newbie here, what's one piece of advice besides download StreamYard would you give? So it depends on what type of content you're making. So if you're doing like live streaming, if you're on video content, if you're just a content creator in general, here's the advice that I would give you, regardless of the type of content you make or regardless of what it is that you're putting out. If you want to get the most gains out of this long term, it's important to understand that making content and being a content creator and all of that, it's a marathon and not a sprint. I'm sure you heard this before, but because of the nature of the gig, so to speak, it's important to start working the process of creating content into your lifestyle. Because if you have a job, if you have school, if you have other things that you do, then there's always going to be other stuff that's going to be more important than making your next video or having your next live stream. So because of that, it's important to work the process of creating the content, every aspect of it, coming up with ideas, researching those ideas, actually, recording the video content or planning out your live stream, editing the content, or even downloading your live stream, tightening that up, maybe sampling clips out of it to repurpose onto, other platforms or whatever. But working the process of creating content into your lifestyle will ensure that you're going to be able to do it for a longer period of time, or that it's going to be sustainable, which then will allow you the opportunity to learn how to do all this stuff, because there's a heavy learning curve with all this stuff too. So it will ensure that it's working in your lifestyle. So the time needed in order to do the thing, it's all worked into your calendar every single week and month and day. And the process, since it's worked into your calendar, you are also going to be developing skills. Every single live stream you do, you're going to learn something. Every single video you publish, as long as you're looking in your analytics and trying to understand how people are responding to your content, you're going to learn something. So that longevity is going to help you also be able to build up the skill set, because you're going to be consistently doing the thing. And then that's going to also help you ensure that you're going to actually be able to get the benefits that you're trying to get from being a content creator. It's going to ensure that you're going to be able to, see that through and get those benefits, because you're going to have everything worked into your schedule and your lifestyle, or the life cycle, so to speak, that you live throughout your day, week, month, quarter. So next up, we've got, let's see here. It's a cool accidental effect. I agree on that. Let's see here. So what is StreamYard on air? We answered that one already. Let's see here. Question. Does StreamYard support WebM yet? So currently, no. So I'm waiting for that also. One feature that I really wish that they would get into place, because they already have it where you can upload video content. They just don't have the codec in there. So I don't know if it's like a licensing thing, or like what's required to get permission to use that codec. But I really wish that they would make it possible to add like WebM graphics or .mov with transparency, so that we could start having like really cool animated overlays and things like that into StreamYard. Like that would be fantastic. And it would help everybody. Like it would help everybody just kind of level it up. And it would make everybody's live streams that are using StreamYard more impressive, which then would encourage more people that are live streaming to use StreamYard, because then it would have that capability to do some of those more, impressive things. So like the graphics are cool, that, kind of levels it up, but being able to add like, videos with transparency here, in my opinion, would be a game changer for StreamYard. And that would also make it more attractive to like gamers and, people that do use a lot of the like WebM graphics. Let's see here. Looking for more questions. Says, I think he's talking about the new webinar feature with the 250. Yeah. So that was, I'm just catching up to that, Michael. So yeah, he is. That's why I was like, I don't get that. I don't get that. So yeah, thanks for that clarity there. Okay, so we've got that. Okay, so here's straight from StreamYard. It says StreamYard on air is a live webinar platform. Host a webinar, live stream, or event on StreamYard, or embedded into your website. Optionally, collect email addresses through a registration form. That's huge. That's definitely huge, being able to collect the email addresses. Let's see here. So are you able to thumbnail shorts? So you can from a computer. Yes, you can add thumbnails to shorts. Mark's Home Kitchen says, do you have a video on how to make a trailer? So I don't have a video on how to make a trailer for your live streams. I mean, all you do is make a video, but I do have a video on the StreamYard channel about how to upload a trailer, and it shows you exactly where it's at and just some things to keep in mind when it comes to making one there. But it's not like a full-blown like, hey, first do this, then do this. It's more about like, hey, here's some things you want to keep in mind in order to make it the most effective, and then here's where you actually add it to your live streams. The Credit Cousin says, I'm new to StreamYard and YouTube. What's the cost for everything you're using today in your stream? So I have a pretty unique case. I'm a professional content creator. Like this is what I do for a living. And because of that, I actually have a pretty robust setup here. So like I've spent so much money on this that I'm actually embarrassed to talk about how much money I've spent on some of the stuff that I have in here. But just as a heads up, like my full setup, like right now for this particular stream, I'm just focusing on one camera because I was doing like the screen shares and things like that. So I was just making it easy on myself. But I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different cameras that I'm using here. I'm running through all of those cameras through one machine here that plugs into my computer that actually connects to StreamYard as a webcam. Just that one device that I run them through, and I live in Thailand, so things are more expensive here because of the import tax. Just this one device to switch all the cameras, because it switches them all automatically from the main streams that I do. Just that one device here locally was over $2,000 just for that. Just this one camera that I'm pointing at right now. The lens for this camera was like $500. The locally, I think you can get them for like 3 or 4 in the States. The camera that I'm using for this live stream, that was, I think, like $600 or $700, maybe more. It might have been like $1,000. I'm not sure because it's been a while. But like, you know, like that whole setup is expensive. Just the mic arm, or not the mic arm, but I have one clamp for this camera because that's a part of the, you know, stuff. The thing that clamps to the desk, it's a Manfrotto super clamp. And basically all it does is clamp to the desk, but it's super strong. It clamps to the desk and it allows me to position the camera like anywhere I want. Just that was like $200 here. So in terms of like, you know, the tech, like this, I think was like 300, you know, and some change. You know, I've got like, you know, speakers set up here just so when guests come on, I can hear them. I've got the Rodecaster Pro, however much that is. I've got all these little monitors and stuff. I've got an extra TV that I bought that, you know, people don't even see. That's over there. So I can have like chat and stuff on that, you know, when I'm streaming as well. So I can look at the camera, but then I can just do a quick glance off of there and then see that, so that because a lot of time I have to look down here to kind of control everything, but you know, it just kind of makes it a little bit more smooth for me to, on one side, see which camera is showing, so I can make sure I'm looking in the right place, which is a skill I'm always trying to work on because I need to get better at that. And then I also have chat over there to where I can just kind of glance over as well. So I'm looking at the camera, but then I can just kind of just do a quick glance over there and just kind of see what's happening in chat as well. So it's a pretty extreme setup. Plus the lights, like this light right here, this is probably just by itself was probably, you know, a couple $100, probably a few. I've got, you know, 2 lights, you know, coming from the back, another light hitting over here. So like, yeah, it's a pretty hefty setup. But what do you need to go live? So you just need like a good quality webcam and some good lights. That's all you need. The reason the lights are important is because your webcam will respond better if your lights are good. So basically every light has like a light quality to it. And then light, you know, it's got like, you know, colors and all this other stuff. So when you have good lighting, you're actually increasing the quality of light, but you can also adjust the intensity of the light as well. And by adjusting the intensity of the quality light, you can ensure that your webcam is seeing everything that it needs to see, and that you can adjust everything accordingly to just give a really nice, strong, crisp, you know, look. But I used to live stream with a like $80 Logitech C920, and I used that for a really long time. I don't think I even changed that until I had like 70,000 subscribers or more on my YouTube channel, just because it was such a good quality. And because of the lighting that I used when I was using that camera, I would have people say, like when I was doing like podcasts and stuff like that, podcast interviews, I'd have people say, hey, what camera are you using, man? Your camera looks fantastic. And I was using this like cheap $80 webcam, but my lights were good. And then I just manually dialed in the settings with the webcam. And as a part of your lighting, positioning of your lighting is also important because, for example, this light that's up here, it actually has a grid on it so that there's not a lot of fall off of the light into the area that's happening in the background, right? So it allows me to keep this background area a little bit more dark than it would be if I didn't have that grid on there. And it allows me to add this extra light that I have behind me that you can see here, this blue, if I move out of the way here. That light that you see there, it allows me to do that to add just that separation between me and the background. And this light here, it's more tilted this way so that the light is more, and it's also more focused. It's not as focused as this one, but with this light over here, it's coming from over on this side, and there's still some fall off over here. Like you can see it on like the Stormtrooper helmet and that stuff that's over there. But it's more focused, you know, on what's happening over here. The lights that are behind me, those have what are called barn doors on them. So basically you have your light and then you have these little doors on them that let you just kind of, you know, focus the light and just kind of keep the light from, you know, going in different places. So both of these lights have them. So they're pointing at me from the back, and then I have those barn doors closed to focus the light coming this way. So again, so I can keep everything dark back here so that there's just a lot more contrast in the scene, and so that I can, you know, stand out more, you know, when people come into the actual stream itself. So in terms of what you need to spend, probably, you know, a few $100 to get like a really solid, you know, live stream. Like if you wanted to top everything out, and you weren't doing multi-cameras and stuff like that, on a budget, you could probably like level up your audio, level up your camera optics, and level up your lighting. If you were looking around for deals and you were on a budget, you could probably do everything for probably $1,000 or less, to just peak everything out to where it's like any improvements that I make from this point forward aren't really going to make that much of a difference. Like it's not going to be noticeable for the viewer. It'll be noticeable for me, but it's really not going to be noticeable for the viewer. You could probably do that for $1,000 or less. Let's see here. Next question we have. Looking for those cues. What is a live stream trailer? Is that a separate video from Novice Cinephile? So yeah, so what the live stream trailer is when I schedule these live streams, what we do is I have a trailer that's on the StreamYard channel, and I have this for my live streams on my channel too, but I have a unlisted video that I upload to the StreamYard channel, and then when I schedule these live streams, I can assign that video to this live stream as a trailer, and then anybody that clicks on the scheduled live stream will actually get some information about, you know, what could be going on here. So it's a piece of video content that they see that is designed to encourage people to hit the notify button so that when I go live, I'll show up on their home pages and things like that. Or they'll get an email notification if they have all that stuff enabled. So that's the idea with a channel trailer. But yes, it's a separate video. You make the video, upload it unlisted to your YouTube channel, make it short, doesn't need to be long, make it short, informative about what it is that you're going to be talking about, upload it as unlisted to your YouTube channel because you don't want it going out publicly to your subscriber base. And then you just assign it on your live stream before you go live. And we have a video on the StreamYard channel here showing you exactly how to do that. Let's see here. So I'm just going to look for just a couple more questions here, and then we'll see what we can do here. So yeah, that might be all the questions. Let's see as I'm scrolling down the list here. And again, I'm just looking for cues. Okay, so Daniel Nuka says, can StreamYard support higher resolution than 1080p for streaming? I see that the basic plan is capped at 720p, professional 1080p. Can you adjust the bit rate for higher quality? So in order to ensure a consistent stream, StreamYard actually defaults all of that stuff. So having, having the option to adjust some of that stuff would be good. But one of the pillars that they actually stand by when it comes to the development of the product is ease of use. So since that is one of the pillars that they stand by, the more things like that they add, the more complicated it makes everything. And as part of that complication, not only are people going to go in and that there'll be a lot of people that come in and they'll set it wrong. Like StreamYard will recommend it here, and they'll come in and they'll be like, oh no, it should be this and this. And they'll end up making their streams look bad, and then they'd end up blaming StreamYard and so on. So it'll create more problems, and it'll make it more complicated for their users as well to, make those type of adjustments. But one thing that I would also like to see is I would like to see the option to go 4K, because with people having fiber internet, things like that nowadays, like 1080p, in my opinion, is definitely something that they could, make to where they detect your internet signal. And they're like, hey, based on your internet speed, we think you'd be okay to stream in 4K. So bam, you have a 4K option available. Or to where if you selected that, it would tell you, hey, based on your internet connection speed, we don't think, 4K would give you like a quality stream. I think that would also be a fantastic ad that they could do. Let's see here. You had a monitor behind you once. Do you still use it? Yeah, so this monitor's still here. So like you can see, here, let me kind of move the stuff out of the way. If you probably can't see it that much because it's dark. So if I put a flashlight on it, maybe. Oh, because my chair is why you can't see it. But yeah, I have a big monitor back there. Also, definitely still use it. So basically, this is my content station here. So this is where I live stream. This is where I make videos, that type of stuff. And then that one over there is where I do like meetings, and then I'll do any like video editing or making graphics or any other work that I do related to, you know, all this stuff. So it's like two different stations. And then over here, I got a music station because I like to make music too. So I got Logic over there, and I've got, you know, like a 88 key keyboard, and like, you know, just like a cool little area over there to where I can just kind of go over there and have some fun. Let's see here. How do you use the spin wheel giveaways as you're live? All you have to do is go to their giveaway tool, and then you put in the hashtag. First, you go to the giveaway tool, select the stream that you are going to be using the giveaway tool on. Once you select the stream, then you put in the hashtag that you want everybody to use in your stream. And then once you have that, then you just hit start collecting, which is the little option there, or go, or whatever the call to action is. And then once that is there, you tell people in your stream to add that hashtag, and then it will go ahead and it'll go ahead and select the winner once you tell it to select the winner. The Landlord Advocate says, we're using a media mod with our GoPro Hero 10 this Thursday. We are plugging it in rather than relying on a battery. Should we worry about overheating for a 2-hour broadcast? I think you'll be fine. The reason I think you'll be fine is I have a GoPro Hero 10 this one's is it a 10 or a 9? What's the new one? The new one's an 11. So that one's a 10. So I have a 10 up here that I use for like a gear view when people ask me questions about the gear when I have it turned on. So that particular one, I'll leave that one running for like 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours in my live streams, and it's perfectly fine. The thing that heats up cameras, and this is where using like some of these devices and stuff like that come into play in terms of just kind of making it easier on yourself, is like this camera right here. If I were to just record all of this, that camera would get hot. I have like a recording limit on the camera, you know, all those things, and the camera itself can just shut down. However, when you're live streaming, depending on the camera that you have, and the GoPros make this possible, what you can do is when you connect it to, you know, whatever it is that you're using to stream, it's not actually recording anything. So since you're just seeing that preview, then what happens is it's like you're just kind of looking at the viewfinder of the thing, but it's not actually doing anything. So because of that, it's not, you know, labor intensive, so to speak, on the actual devices. Now with the GoPros, I think you can plug those in and use them as a webcam. In that case, it might be a little bit different because there is internal things that will have to happen there. The way that I'm using it is I'm actually doing an HDMI out into my ATEM, and then the ATEM into the computer that's connecting into StreamYard. So if you're using the USB and using it as a webcam that way, then you might not have a similar experience than what I had. So I would definitely do a test stream first. However, if you are using something like an ATEM or something like that, and you're just doing an HDMI out, or even into a cam link, you don't even have to use that. You can just use a cam link. Then in that particular case, you should be okay on the overheating. It's Joanne under the StreamYard. Okay, hey, what's going on, Joanne? Hope you're doing awesome. So what do you think about using YouTube Q&A? So we actually played with this on my last 2 live streams. So the thing that I think is interesting about that is I was using it kind of wrong. The way that I was using it was like, hey, if you got a question, just go ahead and put it in here. But I think that the Q&A thing is cool if you want to just start getting, you know, some information. So it's like, you know, hey, what is your favorite, you know, like, do you like pineapple on pizza? Yes or no? And then it gives people that chance to go in and just kind of lean in and start engaging with what it is that you're doing. So when it comes to live streams, you have that thing, right? To where it's like, people can sit back and listen to a live stream, you know, and just kind of do other stuff on their computer. They can listen to a live stream in headphones while they're going for a walk or a jog or exercising or something like that, or cooking or whatever else. You know, they can just listen to it in the background for just ambience, or to, you know, like learn something while they're just doing, you know, random other stuff. Or you can keep them constantly, you know, hey, you know, if you're enjoying this, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Hey, here's this question, come in and answer this question, that type of thing. And it just kind of helps keep people from tuning out and just helps people be more engaged for the people that are actually watching and participating and actually like being, you know, a part, they're interacting in chat and all that. for the people that are interacting in chat, they're already engaged. But for the people that are sitting back and watching, but not really, having a conversation in the chat, anything like that, those sorts of things will get some of those people to engage as well. Oops, didn't mean to, there we go. Landlord Advocates, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. Creepypasta's here, so we can get this show started now. No, I'm just kidding. What's up? Welcome to the stream. Okay, so I hope that we've been going for like an hour and a half. I was only planning to go for an hour, but I just wanted to make sure that I got through, some of the questions that you had here. So first off, I do want to remind you, if you're not a StreamYard user, you can try StreamYard for free. There's a link to StreamYard down in the description. It's what I use to do this live stream. It's what I use every single Saturday. And actually for every live stream that I do on my other channel, I use StreamYard. So I use it in a few different ways. I use it to do my regular live streams that I do, but I also use it with OBS as well, so that I can do like, so I can position things differently, for my news segments that I do. I use it for the monetization streams that we do, which is like a new series that I just started over on my channel as well. But StreamYard is a fantastic tool if you're going to be live streaming or if you are already live streaming. And one feature that I always like to remind people of that people don't think about when it comes to StreamYard, because they don't really have this information on any of their sales pages or anything, because they host everything in the cloud, it makes it easy to organize your graphics and keep everything just like built into, your StreamYard account. They make it easy to multicast, which that part is in their, branding and all of that and all their information. But because they do everything in the cloud, if you have a problem with your computer, if you're streaming on your phone through StreamYard and your phone goes down and you lose signal, if your power flickers and your router has to restart, they keep everything open for you. So you can just come right back in on another device or something like that, to where you don't have to lose your live viewers. So I know, some people, they'll have a lot of people coming in, and let's say you have like 500 people in a stream. The last thing you want is like a power flicker or something stupid happens with your internet provider and you lose all of those people hanging out in your stream. Or if you have 50 people or 10 people in your live stream, you're like, oh my gosh, this is the first time I've had 10 people in my live stream. This is incredible. And then your power flickers and then you lose all 10 of those people. And then you're like, oh no, now what am I going to do? Right. So just that feature by itself, without all the other awesome stuff that StreamYard has, for me, is a huge thing. Like if you're somebody that live streams professionally, especially to where you're like, hey, this is like part of what I do, then having that backup is huge. Absolutely huge. So so if you're not a StreamYard user yet, definitely check them out. Of course, link to that is down in the description. You can try them out for free just so you can see all the cool stuff that you can do with StreamYard. If you have any questions about any of the stuff, if you're watching this on the replay, have any questions about any of the stuff that we talked about during the stream, definitely leave it down in the comment section. We'll try to get you taken care of as well. And everybody that was hung out here, thank you so much for your time. Have a fantastic rest of your week. I live stream here the last Tuesday of every single month. And so make sure that if you want to learn more about live streaming to YouTube, you subscribe to the StreamYard channel and that you come and hang out here in these live streams at the end of the month on the last Tuesday. And I will see you next time. Thank you so much for your time and for hanging out.